Okay, the reading for this week is a no play called Aoi no Ue, which is sometimes attributed to Zeami, the sort of great founder of the no drama. But the text is likely, the extant text is likely a reworking of a version by a contemporary of Zeami called Inu O, right, according to Wikipedia. But we won't worry too much about attribution. We will focus on the play itself. Okay, so I'm going to make two videos. The first is a introduction to the no drama and a brief synopsis of the play Aoi no Ue. And then in the second video I will perform the play in Japanese. And if there's time at the end of the video I will read the English translation as well. And we're using a pamphlet that I used to use when I was teaching at a certain Jesuit university in Tokyo, and the pamphlet is this little purple thing. I will give you this. I will also provide my own study guide to the play. You will have that too, with study questions and the usual homework assignment. So I will begin by reading this introduction to the no drama. Okay, no is a classical form of masked drama that was perfected in the Muromachi period, 1392 to 1573, so the period that immediately precedes the long period that immediately precedes the Edo or Tokugawa period. And it was perfected in the Muromachi period by Zeami, okay, who is sometimes attributed to be the author of this work that we're reading today. Zeami lived from 1364 to 1443. The play, the no drama, is very serious and is presented on a bare stage, but in a full program, no plays are presented together with comic kyogen plays that often appear in the middle of the play as a sort of intermission in the middle of a play. It is one of many cultural forms that were perfected in the Muromachi period, along with tea ceremony, flower arranging, ikebana, tea ceremony, sado, right, or chanayu, gardens, and the architecture of the typical Japanese room. In the Muromachi period, the ruling warrior class needed cultural forms that could unite it with the emperor and court aristocracy. The themes of no plays come from classical literature, war tales, contemporary tragedies and legends about all kinds of gods and monsters. In short, covering the entire imaginative world of Japan at the time. Okay, so as we saw in the Haibun, the Haikai prose of Matsuo Basho, for example, there are many literary allusions and references to the Kokinshu and Shin Kokinshu and the monk Saigyo and other works and authors from the Heian period or from other eras of antiquity that appear in the works, right? So unless you understand these cultural and literary allusions, it's hard to make sense of the poem, right? So it exists very much within the this larger context of the literary tradition. The performers of no come in several categories, and the performers will always stay in that category and never perform any other category. Okay, so the shite will always be a shite. This is true of the musical instruments, of course, but is also true of the actors. A shite main actor will never play a waki, secondary role. Okay, so the shite, these words, by the way, are all in the study guide that I have provided. The shite is the main actor, right? The waki is the secondary role. And a waki will never play a shite role. Okay, so the shite character in the Aoi no Ue that we're reading today is the character Lady Rokujo. Most no plays are focused on some extraordinary being or personality, and this is the role played by the shite actor. Usually, but not always, the shite wears a mask, and only shite actors wear masks. Okay, so when you see the main character on the stage wearing a mask, you know that that is the shite. Only rarely do other characters wear masks. Usually, but not always, the shite plays characters. The shite plays characters that look very, very different in the first and second halves of the play. So there's usually a transformation that occurs in between the two main sections of the play. The shite in the beginning of the play is called the Meiji-jite, so the before shite, and in the second half of the play, referred to as the Nochi-jite. This could be a ghost appearing as an ordinary local person in the first half, and then in its true form in the second half. Okay, so the sort of appearance, the false version of the character or person appears in the first half of the play and is revealed. That person's true nature or true self is revealed in the second half of the play. Or it could be two totally different characters with different costume and mask. Alright, the waki in the Aoi no Ue play that we're reading today is the monk of Yokawa. The waki is often an anonymous traveling priest who sets off the action by traveling to some famous place and encounters the ghost of some famous person. Okay, so the waki is often a monk. All of the members of the chorus are shite actors, and the chorus usually serves to describe the scene or to speak for the shite. Okay, so kind of like the chorus in Greek tragedy, where the chorus emphasizes or speaks for some of the characters in the main characters in the work. The chorus does not represent society or comment objectively on the action. Okay, so that is something different from Greek tragedy, where you see the chorus commenting directly on the action. They do not do that in no theater. The stage assistants, or koken, are very important. They hand props to the shite and make sure that the costume looks perfect. They are always senior, experienced shite actors who must be prepared to take over the role that the shite is performing in an instant if the shite becomes incapacitated for any reason. So if the shite actor passes out in the middle of an act, they will take over. Alright. The I, or the messenger of the minister of the left in the play that we're reading today, the I are kyogen actors that also perform comic kyogen plays between the no plays, but in the context of a no play they are never funny and usually appear in the middle of the play while the shite is changing mask and costume, and they retell the story of the play in language that would have been easier to understand for people in the past. Okay. The kyogen, as I mentioned, appears in the intermission, and kyogen literally means crazy or wild words. Alright, so there is very little or no humor in a no play, but in the intermission kyogen, there is often some comic relief inserted in there. The instrumental ensemble, or hayashi, okay, another word that will be on your study guide, hayashi, the instrumental ensemble, consists of a flute and 3 percussion instruments. The no flute is made especially for high, very intense sounds rather than scales, accurate pitches, and pretty melodies. Okay, so you won't find any pretty melodies or scales, pentatonic or otherwise, in the hayashi flute passages. The shouts of the drummers, okay, so if you, I will provide a link to this play, which is available on YouTube, and you will hear the shouts of the drummers appear frequently. These are part of the music, and they keep the ensemble together. The music they play is a variety of set patterns of fixed length that provide a rhythmical base for the chanting. Although the shoulder drum and hip drum appear in all plays, the stick drum only appears in very rigorous plays, and even then not until the second half. Okay, so your version here, the translation that you have, there are terms for each of the different sections. For example, ageuta, sashi, kuse, and so forth. Okay, so I have descriptions of these terms in your study guide as well. Ageuta, sashi, kuse, these are the terms for the different sections of the play. The text and chanting are central to know and create the world of the play, especially because there are no stage sets and the movement is very restrained. Some sections are spoken, others are chanted. So as you listen or watch the video, pay attention to which passages are just spoken in a normal narrative, or not normal, but in a spoken voice, and the ones that are chanted or sung. Some are very direct, others highly ornamented. Some sections are accompanied by the instrumental ensemble, others are for voice alone. Although the names for these sections are different as indicated in your pamphlet, sections have been indicated first, everything will sound pretty much the same. Alright, just remember that the words are the lifeblood of No, and the actors took great care with each and every syllable to bring out all the meaning of the poetry of the text. Okay, so the text themselves are very dense and literary, which is why we are able to study them in a literature class. They're not just No plays are not just spectacle, they're very literary works. The movements of No are very restrained, and although most of the movements are abstract, formal movements, there are some movements of mind, or of mimetic, sort of movements that resemble normal human movements. But most of them are symbolic, abstract, formalized, stylized, and so forth. But very often these movements of mind, or mimesis, consist of poses of looking at something in the text at that moment. Is very important to know what the character is looking at and what kind of emotion is associated with that image. Okay, so the main character will often stare out into the distance at something, and you will need to know what he or she is looking at from reading the text, by reading the text. Most No plays culminate in a dance in the last part of the play, which is accompanied only by the instrumental ensemble with no chanting, and the entire flow of the play builds to this dance. So in one of the other videos I mentioned the rhythmical pattern that characterizes much of Japanese art and literature, the Jo-Ha-Kyu pattern, and we see that in No plays as well. It begins with the Jo, moves on, builds in tension to the Ha section, and then the final climactic kind of wild explosion we see in the final scene of the Kyu section, right? The entire flow of the play builds to this final Kyu dance. But the movements themselves are always very abstract, consisting of small and large circles and pointing gestures in fixed patterns that are repeated over and over. But even though there is no narrative content to the movements in this dance, the flow of abstract movements epitomizes the movement and emotion of the scene. Alright, so even though there's no words in this final dance, the dance itself, the meaning of the dance, only makes sense within the larger framework of the story and the text. Okay, those are my general comments on the No drama, right, which originated or was perfected in the Muromachi period. And I didn't mention it here, but it actually has its roots in Sarugaku. Okay, so look up monkey gaku, dance or music or whatever. Sarugaku is sort of the prototype for No theater, and that originated much earlier, but it reaches its peak in the Muromachi period with the plays of Zeami and I almost said his son, but Zeami and his father, Kanami, right, who lived and worked in the second half of the 14th century. Alright, about No, that was the introduction to No. About this play that we're reading today, Aoi no Ue. This is one of the most famous plays in the No repertoire. It is a third category play or wig play, a katsura. Okay, so I have a note about this in your lecture, in your study guide, the katsura or wig play, meaning a play featuring a female character. It is based on material from the novel The Tale of Genji. Although Lady Aoi is the title of the play, she does not actually appear in the play and is only represented by a kimono at the front of the stage. The real focus of the play is Genji's lover, Lady Rokujo, who is played by the shite, or the main actor. Okay? Lady Rokujo is the main character of the play. Lady Aoi is central to the play, but she's in the background and doesn't actually appear in the play. Okay? And anyone familiar with the tale of Genji, Genji Monogatari, will know that Lady Aoi is one of Genji's many lovers, as is Lady Rokujo. Lady Rokujo is Genji's older lover, and there's a kind of conflict or tension or jealousy between the two female characters. The tale of Genji is about the handsome lover, the shining prince, right? Hikaru Genji, he's often called. Shining Prince Genji. He is born the son of the emperor and is so intelligent and talented that everyone predicts a great future for him. But his mother was of relatively low birth, relatively low within the high-born aristocracy, of course, died young and had no influential backers, so he was given the family name Genji. The members of the imperial family had no family name, and he was removed from the imperial succession, so no chance of him becoming emperor because of his birth, his mother's relatively low birth. The novel, the monogatari, I don't know if we should call it novel, but the monogatari relates the political and romantic intrigues of the imperial court, and Genji has a series of love affairs. He also is married to Lady Aoi. Okay, so he's actually married to her, apparently. Aoi no Ue, the daughter of the minister of the left. I'd forgotten that they were actually married, and that she wasn't just his lover. The most powerful minister in the imperial bureaucracy. However, the two are never very close, and she is much older than he is, and spends most of his time in affairs with other women. She's much older. Alright, I think there might be some... Lady Aoi, is she older than... Okay. Genji's longest relationship is with an older woman, Lady Rokujo, also known as the Woman of the 6th Avenue. Rokujo no Miyasu Dokoro. She is a very cultured woman who is the widow of an imperial prince. But unconsciously, she's very jealous of the other women in Genji's life, and her living ghost leaves her body and attacks and kills these other women. Okay, so in Genji Monogatari, there are many sections where you see an ikiryo. Okay, there are two kinds of sort of spirits or ghosts in that work and in Heian period literature: the ikiryo and the shiryo. Right, the ikiryo is the spirit that leaves your body when you're still alive. Ikiru, right? It leaves the body of a still living human being and sort of attacks or harasses the object of one's anger, right? So the body here, the spirit leaves Rokujo and goes to the quarters of her rival, right? And attacks these other women. The other kind of ghost is the shiryo, was after you're dead, the spirit comes back to the world of the living and seeks revenge for some sort of wrong that was inflicted upon her during her life. Alright, so here the ghost leaves her body and attacks and kills these other women. So yes, in some cases, the ikiryo will kill her rivals. First, she kills a humble woman called Yugao, the Lady of the Evening Flowers. Then she kills Genji's main wife, Lady Aoi. Alright. So she kills both rivals in this case. The spirit of Lady Rokujo kills both rivals. In the second half of the play, the shite appears, the nochijite. In the second half, the shite becomes, the maijite becomes the nochijite. Second half of the play, the shite appears with the famous Hanya mask. Okay. So the shite in the first half of the play appears as the Dagon mask, and I have the names of all these masks and their meanings and their an image of each mask on your study guide. So the Dagon mask changes to the Hanya mask, which is the mask of the horned demon. And in no drama, this is never the mask of a male demon. It is always the female spirit, since in Japanese tradition, jealousy, represented by the horns on this mask, on the Hanya mask, jealousy is considered to be an inevitable aspect of the female character. But more than being aggressive and frightening, the face also has an expression of great grief and sadness. Alright, that's the general introduction to this play. Now here's the synopsis for Aoi no Ue. Genji's wife, Lady Aoi, has fallen ill, and they have tried prayers and medical treatment with no success. Okay, his older wife, Lady Aoi, has fallen ill, and they have tried prayers and medical treatment with no success. Finally, they call for a shamaness, right, a miko, named Teruhi, who uses a bow, a catalpa bow, to divine what is troubling Lady Aoi. The living spirit of a woman appears, right? And the living spirit, the ikiryo, is Genji's lover, much older lover, Rokujo, Lady Rokujo. And the living spirit of Lady Rokujo describes her tormented feelings of jealousy and desire, and appears in a broken carriage, an allusion to that episode in Genji Monogatari when Lady Rokujo and Lady Aoi both went in their carriages to see Genji in his finest in the parade of a festival. I think this was the Kamo festival seen in Genji Monogatari. But the two carriages competed for the same prime viewing spot, and a fight broke out between the attendants of the two carriages. Right? So there's this long-standing rivalry between these two women, and Lady Rokujo was the loser in this fight, and her carriage was wrecked. Lady Rokujo describes how she is filled with emotions of human weakness. She is jealous, well, Lady Rokujo's living spirit, to be more precise. Her living spirit, her ikiryo, describes how she is filled with emotions of human weakness. She is jealous and her hatred has been aroused. Now she comes attracted by the sound of the catalpa bow. Only Teruhi can see the spirit, and she, Teruhi the Miko, right, yes. Only the Miko Teruhi can see the spirit, and she describes it to the court noble who suspects who it is and demands that the spirit name herself. Okay, so this notion of a Miko entering the scene to commune with the spiritual world, with somebody who normal human beings cannot see, reminds us of that scene in Yabu no Naka, in Akutagawa Ryunosuke's modern short novel, where Miko comes and speaks to the dead spirit, in that case, of the husband who was murdered, or possibly who killed himself. Right? So this scene recalls that scene from Akutagawa's story. Only Teruhi can see the spirit, and she describes it to the court noble who suspects who it is. The court noble suspects who it is and demands that the spirit name herself. Okay, so Lady Rokujo responds to this command by describing her life of elegance and pleasure in the imperial court. But as she ages, she withers like the blossoms of the morning glory. Feelings of hate and jealousy sprout up like the greens in spring. She has come here to vent her hatred. Alright? So she's an ikiryo, but another word for this is an onryo. On is the kanji for resentment, right? And she has come to vent her hatred. Onryo, on is the character for resentment or hatred, right? She's returned. Oh, she's not dead. Alright, never mind. Teruhi, the Miko, the shamaness, tries to restrain her and says that karma means the evil Lady Rokujo does to others. What means that whatever evil Lady Rokujo does to others will come around and attack her. But Lady Rokujo cannot hold herself back. Jealousy and rage fill her, and she goes to Lady Aoi's bedside and strikes her. She recalls how beautiful Genji is. His glory is like the light of fireflies by a dark swamp. Lady Rokujo has been left behind and is filled with anger. She sees her reflection in a mirror, and she sees how she has changed, and this fills her with horror. She disappears, looking like she is taking Lady Aoi with her in a carriage. The court noble instructs his retainer to go call the holy man of Yokawa to exorcise the spirit. Okay, the holy man says, the holy man is the waki in the no play, right? The holy man says that he was in seclusion, but cannot ignore a summons from the minister of the left. He goes to the minister's mansion. The holy man confronts the spirit, who now appears as a jealous demon. Okay, so Lady Rokujo has been transformed from the Deiga mask into the Hanya mask. The actors changed masks. Lady Lokujo's underlying or true character is revealed as a Hanya jealous demon. The holy man of Yokawa prays and rubs his Buddhist rosary at the spirit. Finally he succeeds, and the play ends as the spirit is enlightened and finds salvation. Right? So according to Buddhist thought, in order to become enlightened, one must break with one's bonno, or passions, or shuchaku, and attachments. And Lady Lokujo in this play is able to renounce or shed her attachments and find salvation in the final scene. Okay, so there's a kind of happy ending to the story. Alright, and finally a note about this performance. Performances of No are rare in the summer, and so this is a special performance of... Okay, never mind. This is about the performance that took place at a certain... the said Jesuit University in Tokyo several years ago. Okay, that's the end of my introductory comments on the play. Next I will read, in the next video I will read the play in Japanese, hopefully. And if there's time at the end, read the English translation to the play as well. And you will want to follow along by reading the play. I will provide two translations, by the way. This translation is included in this pamphlet, and Don Keen's translation as well. And the original, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, is included in the pamphlet, so you will want to follow that as well, along with your study guide that I have provided with all the terms that you need to memorize and the study questions about the play. Alright, video 2 I will now record now. Goodbye.